On September 5th, 2024, at around 11 a.m., rich homie Quan was found unresponsive in his Atlanta home.
I'm sorry, are you saying he's not breathing? Is that correct? I'm not hearing you.
Yes.
2 months prior in July, he announced he had been working on a brand new album. And when he was asked about his legacy, he stated the following: "Remember me as an original, as an artist who did it his way. Remember me as a hard kid from Atlanta with a dream, who believed in himself, bettered himself, and won."
Counted $1 million to my hand. Yeah. Cities that down, I don't know what he stand for. VVS shining, got them on free. Put your hands up. I am from Atlanta, and we don't go over there. Trick white coat on, yeah. That's the laboratory. She say I coin didn't work. What? Cause that's a bad time.
I just be hating how when an artist dies or someone dies, it's almost like the culture pays more attention to us when we're dead.
DeQuantis Lamar was born October 4th, 1989 in Atlanta, Georgia's Zone 6. He was raised on the east side of the city with his mom and his younger siblings, but his dad and his grandparents lived in Decatur, which is where he would spend his weekends. Although he spent the majority of his time with his mom, he and his dad had a very close relationship, and that's worth mentioning because it's important later in this story. Now, living in Atlanta's Zone 6, it's no secret that gangs, crime, and poverty are everywhere. For context, this is the same area that Gucci Mane and many others are also from. But unlike some of his peers, Quan actually managed to stay out of the streets for the majority of his younger years. He actually enjoyed reading and playing sports, more specifically baseball in particular, and he was good at it. When he was a freshman at McNair High School, he was already playing for the varsity team and was considered the standout player. Quan later talked about this though and stated he always felt like baseball wasn't really a black sport. He said he was good at it, but probably not good enough to actually make it to the MLB one day. So even though he was really good, in the back of his head, he really wanted to be a rapper. When he was a kid, he and his brother would download Afro Man instrumentals and rap over them on a karaoke machine their mom bought. Throughout his teen years, he wrote over 100 songs, but was always too shy to share them with anyone because he thought people would laugh at him. Despite keeping his music a secret, he did come up with a name for himself in the 11th grade, and that of course was Rich Homie Quan.
Well, where did you get the name Rich Homie Quan from? Well, it came from just me and my buddy kidding around. I say about like 11th grade. Me and my buddy Jerry were downstairs in my mom's closet, which was my studio at the time, where I was set up. I don't know, he was in the booth and I was on the computer, and he just like, man, we're gonna be called the Rich Homies.
As high school came to an end, Quan was met at a crossroad in life. He had two choices: go to college and play baseball with the scholarship he earned, or pursue his dream of making music. Initially, he took the safe route. He accepted the scholarship at Fort Valley and started attending school. He quickly realized there was a problem though. The commute from Atlanta to Fort Valley was almost 2 hours, and honestly, he just wasn't feeling it. So after a few weeks, he dropped out altogether.
I would say I probably didn't go because of my peers around me. Felt as if I could learn more in the streets opposed to what the schools could teach me at a college level. I felt as if I would gain a whole lot more from my peers opposed to college. I felt as if college was a waste of money.
Now, Quan knew he wanted to take music seriously, but he still had some problems with that were holding him back, and one of them, of course, was money. His mom had bought him a microphone for his graduation gift, but he still needed money if he was going to be able to do anything music related. He got a job working as a server in a restaurant at the airport, but just like school, he simply just wasn't feeling it, so he quit that too. At this point, he felt there was really only one direction he could go, and he was feeling desperate.
At that time, I was serious on music to a certain extent, but I was shy. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think I can rap, but I don't want to let nobody hit these songs because I don't want them to laugh at me. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, I don't know, maybe I would give me a little money, might have a little more to talk about.
I was in the school breaking rule misbehavior. Shout out to Lil Dude, that nephew.
Well, one summer day, his friends came and picked him up. Quan says he honestly didn't know what was going to happen or where he was going. His friends simply said they were going to go cut some grass, but that's not exactly what happened. They pulled up to a random house, everyone hopped out, and Quan stayed back in the car. His friends proceeded to almost pull off a home invasion. I say almost because they all ended up getting caught, Quan included. Fortunately for him, it was his first offense, so he bonded out and was back on the streets the next day. This was the first time he had ever really done something illegal like that, so you'd think it would scare him, but that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, the only thing Quan was actually thinking about was how he could probably get away with it if he moved smarter than his friends did that day. He also felt like if he got his money up, he'd had more to talk about in his music and would make it more interesting, and that's how he justified it to himself. So he got a crew together and made a plan to rob some houses, even taking it as far as to only rob in the daytime because invasions at night gave more time if you were caught. Over the coming months, they hit 15 to 20 houses up, stealing TVs, jewelry, and anything of value they could find.
And I was doing a lot of bad things to get the money. Breaking in houses, stealing. So if you got a 40-inch TV, that's $400. If you got a 50-inch flat screen, that's $500. 60-inch, $600, etc., etc. The money had me so blinded, I didn't know what I wanted from life.
The biggest lick they hit was worth around $9,000, which of course was life-changing money for him at the time. In his head, everything was going according to plan. He upgraded his home studio and was planning on paying the local DJs to play his music in the clubs once he finished recording some new songs. Unfortunately for him, he never got the chance, and once again he was caught and booked. Since he was already fighting his other robbery charge as well, this time he was denied bond and he had to sit. Now he was in county jail just reflecting on everything he had done, trying to come up with a new plan. The first 6 months he was locked up, he didn't tell anyone that he rapped, because again, he said he was still shy about sharing it. One day another inmate started banging on the tables and started freestyling. The guy was good and everyone went crazy for it. But Quan couldn't help but feel like he was still much better. That night he went into his cell, stayed up late, and wrote a new song. The following day, Quan mustered the courage to go outside and do the same thing the guy had done. He rapped his new song for everybody, and just like he hoped, they went nuts for it. They actually liked it so much that people started giving him their commissary just for him to perform.
I had 31 inmates in there every night. Quan, you gotta rap tonight, bro, before we go to sleep. I was the radio, man. I was in there rapping for snacks, man. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk.
Are you serious?
On God, man. Rap for $2, man. Give me a honey bun and some chip, boy. I'll rap all night for you.
This was a crucial moment for him because it was the first time he got that kind of positive feedback, and it gave him that new kind of confidence. He knew if he beat this case and got back outside, he could finally take this music thing seriously. In the meantime though, he was stuck in there, and the only productive thing he could do was try and perfect his craft. Although he had been reading books since he was a kid, he said it wasn't until he was behind bars that he read his first books with full understanding. Quoting, "When I learned how to really read a book, it took my mind to a whole other place." For the remainder of his time, he spent his days writing rhymes, but he always referred to them as his poems. It took 15 months for this case to finally get resolved and for him to be set free. It was 2011 now, he's fresh out and feeling motivated, but when he told everyone his plan of making music, he felt like nobody was taking him seriously. After some reflection, he realized the music he was trying to make was what he quoted as jail music. Now that he was back outside, he needed to switch it up, so he went back to the drawing board and ended up linking up with a crew named Loyalty Over Royalty. He became good friends with one of the members who was named TZ, and TZ was actually the first person who ever took Quan to a real studio, which motivated him. The plan was to drop his first ever mixtape with Loyalty Over Royalty, so Quan was hitting the studio every night recording. But before he could complete the tape, his friend TZ got into some trouble and was shot and killed in Atlanta.
TZ fell in love with me, bro. So, like I'm telling you, I was standing in the basement. From the first day I met TZ, I ain't sleep in that basement for 3 months. I ain't 3 months, 6 months. Forever how long I knew TZ, because TZ ended up getting killed. You see what I'm saying? So when TZ get killed, man, RIP TZ, and that messed me up. When TZ get killed, I'm like, man, I don't even want to rap no more, man. The only person who believed in me, he gone now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm the baby.
This was devastating for Quan, and once again he had to take a step back and reevaluate, but it only made him go even harder. Finally, in April of 2012, he dropped his first ever mixtape titled I Go In On Every Song. As you can expect, it didn't gain him much attention at the time, but now he had something to show people and he still had a plan. He used all the money he had saved to print out CDs and started passing them out throughout Atlanta. Clubs, retail stores, and DJs, it didn't matter, he just wanted to get his name out there. Remember, this was still a time where doing the groundwork was just as effective as using the internet.
I got me some money, and the last little money I got, I invested in these CDs. I invested in these CDs from this music.
And his plan worked, it just took a few months. One of the retail stores he dropped his tape off to was called Fly Kicks. The owner was a guy named Fly. One day, Fly stopped by the store on usual business, and he heard one of Quan's songs playing, so he asked his employee who it was. The employee told him it's a new artist named Rich Homie Quan, and he gave Fly the CD, to which he took it and let it play in his car on the ride home. Before he could finish the first song, Fly called the store back and told him to put him in touch with Quan and let him know he's trying to sign him.
But I end up getting a call like saying the owner of Fly Kids want to sit down and talk to you. He like one of your songs. And I'm like, man, okay. But and I curved Fly for so long, 'cause I'm like, is he playing? So when I talked to him, he was like, y'all want to sit down? So we went out. The first time I met him, I ain't gonna put the business out there, but the first time I met him, we was just downstairs in a little lobby. And he was like, bro, I want to sign you. Like, what you want, man? You know, I don't know. I just want some money, bro. I just want to be signed. I'm broke. I know the shit, Mike. I know I'm hard, though. Don't try me. I know I'm hard. This shit microwave ready. Fuck with me, bro. Make this my job. I don't got no job. Just like, you know what I'm saying? He like, I can give you some money.
I remember sitting down with Quan, you know, before we ever signed anything, and we just talking, you know, and me just trying to get an understanding of who he is and what it was he wanted to accomplish and what it was he wanted to do. And I just remember him telling me, like, man, I just want to be heard. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, well, I want to be the person to help the world hear you.
After the two met up, Fly presented him with his offer of $19,000 to join his new label, Think It's a Game.
Make 2.5 million 1 year, still mad at myself. Cause I knew I could've made a whole lot of more than what I made.
Now remember, Quan was still very broke, so of course, this kind of money was a lot to him, and he felt he had no other choice but to take the deal. But instead of taking all the money up front, Quan asked if he could just get $400 every Friday, because he knew if he got it all at once, he'd blow through it. This way he could treat music more like a job and be more responsible.
I didn't even sign for a lot of money. Like, niggas don't even know I signed. But listen, man, I signed for $19,000. I was so broke, but I was so smart. Listen how smart I am. $19,000. I know I don't have a job. So this is what I told Fly. I said, look, Fly, I don't even want all my money up front. Pay me every week. So I was getting $400 every Friday. I will have every Sunday, every Friday. I will meet him or have him get it. Cause I started treating it like a job in my mind, cause I knew if I got $19,000, I was gonna mess that money up fast, and it was gonna be over. So $400 every week, but at the same time, Fly put me in the studio. He's put me in this after I signed. He put me in the studio. I mean, Akon and Blue Studio every week. I got going to the studio 5 days a week. So I'm going to the studio and I'm getting paid $400 a week.
Now he signed his first deal, he's feeling great, and he does his first live performance in Tennessee for $800, and it's time to show everybody what he has to offer. 6 months later in September, he dropped his second mixtape, Still Going In, and this was the tape that really gave him some buzz locally. One song in particular caught a lot of attention, and that was Differences. Quan later said this song actually indirectly made him his first $1 million through shows. This mixtape alone had him on the road 5 days a week doing small shows all over the South. But even this was really nothing compared to what was about to happen. Because 4 months later in early 2013, he dropped the reloaded version of Still Going In, and this featured a handful of new songs, including Type of Way. As we know, Type of Way was a smash hit right away. So much so he actually had to scrap the original music video and upgrade it. On YouTube alone, the song got more than 5 million views in under 3 days, and the project itself was #1 trending on live mixtapes. This opened a whole new world of opportunities for him, especially when it came to collabing with other artists. Now he's dropping songs with Gucci Mane, 2 Chainz, Trinidad James. His song Ghetto with August Alsina would go gold. I Know with Yo Gotti would also go gold. And on top of that, he even managed to snag another massive hit with his song My Homies featuring YG and Jeezy, which would go on to become 4 times platinum. Needless to say, he was the hottest new artist that year and everybody wanted a piece.
Rich homie. Told y'all nigga, man. Better invest, nigga.
Despite his dreams unfolding in front of him, he did admit this was also a lot to handle at the time. Going from struggling artist to the face of the mainstream all within a year had its negative side effects too. He recalled one day in particular having to perform 3 different shows in 3 different states, all on the same night. And because he had so many songs buzzing at one time, this kind of demand did not stop for months on end. Leading all the way into his next project, I Promise I'll Never Stop Going In, which once again only popularized him even more. This tape included his songs Walk Through and Blah Blah Blah. Walkthrough was such a huge song, a lot of schools even adopted it as their walkout song for their sports teams. But even more importantly, this tape gave us the first ever Rich Homie Quan and Young Thug song called Get the Fuck Out My Face. The song itself wasn't the biggest, but it was the first time we would hear them on a track together, which is going to be important for the next part of this story shortly. Meanwhile, all this is happening, Quan is still adjusting to the massive fame he now held. In early 2014, the XXL freshman revealed him to be one of the featured artists. This was especially honorable to him because he remembers being in jail just a few years before and seeing everyone fight over the magazine, and now he was on the front cover. But the very next day, TMZ reported to the public that he actually suffered from 2 seizures and cracked his head while filming the music video to Walkthrough. He was rushed to the hospital and fans rushed to Twitter. Some people showed love, but some speculated he might have been abusing drugs like codeine. Quan didn't shy away from the comments, and he actually replied in a Billboard interview stating it had nothing to do with drugs. He simply had been on the road doing back-to-back shows and was even sleeping in between shots that day, but the summer heat and Georgia humidity got to him. Needless to say, in another later interview, he did mention this was around the time that he felt like he let the fame get to him, and he did in fact get lost in the sauce.
You had a seizure? And I fell out at the walkthrough video. Oh, I did see you talk about that. The walkthrough video, man. I fell out. Like, it was so crazy. You know, like, I don't even remember the season.
I don't compromise to the people. No, I don't even lie to the people. I ain't even gotta try for the peeling like Jesus Christ on the cross. Nigga, how I take a sacrifice and I die for the people.
In the midst of all this, Young Thug and Quan were building a friendship behind the scenes after debuting their first song together. What a lot of people don't know is they actually went to the same middle school together when they were young, so they had already known of each other long before music connected them. And seeing that they were both the newcomers leading the way out of Atlanta, the two had a conversation about how they could probably help each other. From then on, they started talking on the phone every day and became very close friends. By this point, Thug was already hanging around the rap mogul Birdman a lot. And although Birdman had reached out to Quan as well when he first started buzzing, he says they kinda just lost contact after some months went by, but they had never actually met yet. It wasn't until he was doing a show in Florida that Thug introduced the two officially. That night after the show, Birdman brought Quan to the studio and played him some music. The first song he showed him was Lifestyle, which already had Thug's chorus attached. Birdman told Quan he had been saving the song for him, so he hit the booth and finished his verse in 20 minutes.
But yeah, when he hit spacebar, boom, spacebar, Lifestyle come on. I go in there and knock my shit out, man. That motherfucker on the radio 4 days later.
But they didn't just make music that night. Birdman also proposed his new idea to Quan. He had been working on forming a new group of artists under his Rich Gang imprint, and Thug was already one of the artists he was repping. Now, seeing that this was the same guy who brought the world YMCMB with Lil Wayne, Drake, and Nicki Minaj, this seemed like a no-brainer. But it's important to note that this was unofficial and no paperwork had been signed on Quan's end. Without hesitation, Birdman then came to Atlanta, booked out an entire studio for 6 months for them to work out of. This is when things started to get messy though. It's just nobody knew about it at the time, but it also brought us some of the best music that year, and with songs like Lifestyle, maybe even the decade. Lifestyle would be the nail in the coffin for anybody who still might not have heard Quan's music yet. It goes without saying the song was an absolute massive success for him, Thug, and Rich Gang. And although a few other artists were also repping Rich Gang at the time, it was obvious these two were the superstars, and that's exactly what they were. Their collabs quickly became fan favorites, and according to Quan, the two lived on top of each other, with Thug's apartment being above his. So when it was time to record, he would just bang on the ceiling and let Thug know he wanted him to come down. And that's how we would get the Rich Gang Tour mixtape in late 2014. But as I mentioned, not everything was as good as it seemed on the outside. See, Birdman still had a problem in that he was still putting a lot of pressure on Quan behind the scenes, because he wanted him to officially sign to Rich Gang and get that paperwork done. But there was always one person in the way of that, and it was Quan's dad. Remember I stated earlier he and his dad were very close, and he was even one of his managers now. His dad was hesitant to allow him to sign anything with Birdman, and rightfully so. This was causing tension between the two, and allegedly his dad and Birdman even got into some heated arguments about it. But that's not even all of it. In September of that year, 2 men barged into his dad's barbershop on an alleged robbery and shot his dad 4 times. Now he would end up making a full recovery eventually, but this was really the beginning of the end of Rich Gang. A video then leaked online of Quan talking about the situation, where he even mentioned he knew Thug and Birdman had something to do with the robbery, but he just had no proof.
Everybody been talking about it, I'm gonna just be a man and answer myself. Right. Scrap, man, no door has something to do with it. You can't prove. Right. Point blank period.
His theory was that maybe Birdman was trying to get rid of his dad so he could try and take more control of him and his music, and he also mentioned that when they were doing shows, Quan was the one who was always getting the larger checks. This was very confusing for fans at the time because Rich Gang seemed like the next big thing, and they were making chart-topping music together, but really that was all about to end.
Blind nigga with a push out of kid. I ain't looking for the swoop, I need a bitch who got a me. I want a bitch with some loot, who gon' take care of her kid? I mean, make sure her kid.
In January of 2015, a man named Big Nut was standing in a parking lot outside of an Atlanta barbershop. At around 7 p.m., a car pulled up and started firing shots, killing Big Nut and injuring 2 others in the process. Now, Big Nut was a well-connected man in Atlanta's music scene, and he was especially close with rapper YFN Lucci. We now know that YFN Lucci and Thug have a long history of beef with one another, and the death of Big Nut caused a lot of violence in the city. The police allege at least 4 other murders happened as a result of this, but at one point in time before, everybody was cool. Thug, Lucci, Big Nut, and Quan all hung around the same people, and Quan and Lucci were both signed to Fly's Think It's a Game label, so it made sense. But now that Lucci and Thug were entering a full-on war, people like Quan, who never even portrayed the gangster lifestyle, was stuck right in the middle. People were losing their lives, his dad was getting shot, and Birdman was still trying to tie him down to a contract. None of this is what Quan signed up for, and he was just trying to make music that made people feel good. So he felt he had to make a decision, and his dad advised him to step away from all of it, and especially distance himself from Rich Gang. So of course, on his next radio interview, he made the announcement and said he was going to be focusing more on him.
But I have been focusing more on myself. I've stepped away from the Rich Gang living just to get back to Quan. People want Quan back, man.
Although he kept it cordial and didn't diss anybody in the process, it goes without saying that Thug especially didn't take it well. In this video from one of his performances, Thug went on to call him bitch homie Quan.
You saw the fucking video, man. This stupid lame nigga trail. That bitch homie Quan.
Again, at the time, most people didn't understand why they were going their separate ways. And when asked about it in interviews, Quan always insisted there wasn't an actual problem.
What happened with Young Thug? What's the story there? You guys are friends and then the whole thing fell apart there? Where are you guys now on this?
Me and Young Thug, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you know, like we can't, yeah, you know, he always my brother for life, man. You know, no hard feelings, you know what I mean? We both went to middle school together. We live in Atlanta. Right now, just a lot going on. You know, I'm still the same Quan, man. I've never said anything to trash Thug or banish his name, because that's not where I come from.
Even so, Thug would throw little disses at him. And eventually Quan did fire back a little. Regardless, he kept his word and he dropped another solo tape titled If You Ever Think I'll Stop Going In, Ask Double R. This was an important time in his career for a number of reasons. For one, the tape included the song Flex, which would ultimately become his highest charting song ever. Not only for the song itself, but for the dance he invented that would go viral all over the internet. The dance became so popular it even inspired the song Hit the Quan by I Heart Memphis, which has over 88 million views on YouTube. This proved Quan still had the ability to go viral on his own. He didn't need a major label and he didn't need Rich Gang. He even had a verse in the Fast and Furious 7 soundtrack, which was huge. So really he was at the height of his career. He had years of hits under his belt, he still had the momentum from Rich Gang songs, and now Flex is his #1 song ever. Things really couldn't get much better, and if there was ever a time to keep his foot on the gas, it was now. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. Instead, he kind of just stepped away from the limelight altogether. One of the reasons for this was he revealed he was suing his label Think It's a Game for $2 million. Alleging that Fly stole $159,000 to buy real estate and pocketed another $500,000 from a distribution deal for the song Type Away. The label then tried to sue him back for breaching his contract, but this never made it to court and they decided to settle it on their own for an undisclosed amount. This entire process took over a year though, and during that time, Quan felt it was best to wait until it was over, so he really wasn't dropping anything. Taking a break at the peak of his career wasn't beneficial for anyone.
I couldn't release music, man. You know, they just really put a dark cloud over my head, you know what I'm saying? Dark cloud where I couldn't record. I didn't even want to hear the radio, you know what I'm saying?
He did end up dropping 2 mixtapes at the end of that year, but they both kind of just flew under the radar because there wasn't much promo now that he had problems with his label. On top of it, people were really waiting for his first album, but it just never came. Now things just kept getting worse. Over 100 Rich Gang songs would be leaked online because it turns out Birdman forgot to pay the studio that he rented out for half a year. So somebody at the studio was upset and dropped all their unreleased music online for free. Quan said he didn't really care about this because he had no intentions of dropping those songs anyway, but it still wasn't a good look. And while we're speaking of good looks, we have to talk about his VH1 Honors performance. Now, Rich Homie Quan was invited to the VH1 Honors ceremony to sing Biggie Smalls' hit song, Get Money, alongside Lil' Kim. Fabulous was supposed to do it, but he had to back out last minute, which led them to asking Quan. There was no real reason for him to do it other than the fact that he needed to create a little buzz again. This was supposed to be an easy way to show face and pay homage to Biggie, but while on stage he dropped the ball and ended up forgetting the lyrics, which ultimately just led to an awkward moment and the whole thing backfired on him.
You wanna sip more on my living room floor, play Nintendo with C's and Alamo. Yeah, hey, hands up. Sex all day. You wanna be my main squeeze, baby?
It wasn't a huge deal, but it still got some backlash from the Breakfast Club, who awarded him their Donkey of the Day.
Donkey of the Day for Tuesday, July 12th goes to Rich Homie Quan.
Now that still wasn't all of it. In 2017, while driving to one of his shows, he was pulled over, and when the cops searched his car, they found a stolen gun, weed, and ecstasy. The prosecutors were threatening him with 30 years if he was convicted for this. The case would take over 2 years to finally be resolved, and ultimately it was thrown out for lack of evidence. But at the time it was a big deal. His hiatus was really affecting his career, and honestly none of his songs were charting the way they used to be.
I'm trying to see what's going on. Why everybody think I fell off? Why everybody think I fell off? I don't know why they were thinking that. Do you know what I'm saying? Man, I been waiting on y'all. You know what I'm saying? I still been, you know what I'm saying? Come on, I'm still the richest homie of them all.
The legal battles, long break, and lack of an album had killed off any momentum he had left. Now make no mistake, his name still held a lot of weight, but the demand just wasn't there anymore.
Man, I can't drop no music, my show money down. Man, I got a dark cloud over my head, bro. It probably was the person, I would definitely say, that probably was the lowest I was in my life, because you got to think, man, I went from here to here fast. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I blame myself, and it's growth, and I know it was my fault.
Quan did finally drop his debut album in 2018 titled Riches in Spirit, and he tried his best to craft something he felt had no skips in it. The album was very well put together and without a doubt some of his best work, but it still wasn't enough to create that comeback that he had been trying to achieve. For some reason or another, it just didn't get the promo it needed, and it got no love from the community. That never stopped him though. From here forward, Quan decided to stay independent and only release music on his own terms. He was still featured on a lot of other artists' songs in the coming years, but he mostly just kept to himself. He ended up dropping 3 more tapes on his own: The GIF in 2018, Coma in 2019, and Family and Moolah in 2022. He never fully recovered from his long break in 2016, but he later spoke about how he had already invested his money in real estate and was making $1 million a year off of it.
I think last year, you know what I'm saying, I made $1 million plus on real estate. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, and not a music check involved.
Earlier this year, Quan appeared in a number of vlogs by YouTubers where he was seen enjoying his life with his family out of the limelight.
We're continuing to follow more breaking news from around the country, and this story is coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. I want to pull up a tweet for you right now. We do know it has now been confirmed that Rich Homie Quan, the rapper, has passed away at the age of 34.
I watched you switch up on me, you were dead to the wrong, and no one can tell me nothing, come my head, it was gone.
On September 5th, 2024, Quan was found at around 3 a.m. by his brother laying in the kitchen with a little bit of food in his mouth still. His brother unknowingly picked him up and moved him to the couch, thinking he was sleeping. The following morning, his girlfriend noticed he wasn't in bed with her when she woke up. She thought this was strange, but when she discovered him on the couch, she assumed he had been up late and was still sleeping in as well. She then took the kids to school, and when she returned once again, he still appeared to be asleep. When she tried to wake him, she noticed he was unresponsive and called 911.
I need an ambulance.
Tell me exactly what happened.
My boyfriend, he never got up. I don't feel a heartbeat. I don't see him breathing.
Rich Homie Quan had passed away earlier that morning. Although the official autopsy has not yet been released, it's speculated that he may have taken a bad pill and overdosed. His father stated that Quan had just finished a new 20 to 25 song album and he was eager to release it this year. Rich Homie Quan helped not only change but pioneer a new generation of Atlanta's trap music, and he gave the world some of the best music of his generation, and for that he will be remembered.
So I just want to talk about stuff that the average person can relate to, like real problems that people see still. You know what I'm saying? Because those problems are still around me. You know what I mean? Even if I'm not going through them, I could talk. I could be the voice for the people who can't, you know what I'm saying, say nothing, or be the voice. That's all. So I just want to put you in a mind frame where you don't got to be hearing rich and thinking about money. It could be in your spirit. It could be in your energy. It could be the vibe that you just give off to somebody.